you guys excited for this debate?
Yeah!
I think you can be more excited than that, so please try again. Okay, thanks. So, good afternoon, staters. It is a privilege for us to welcome you to the 2014 General Election Candidates Debate. Before we begin, we would like to remind you to thank the K-State staff and the university as a whole to allow Boys State to be held on their campus. Please respect and treat their facilities as if it were your own. In addition to respecting the facilities, also offer your full respect and attention to the candidates who have been working diligently in preparation for the debate. Now let me introduce the 2014 American Legion Boys State General Elections candidates. For Commissioner of Insurance, National Candidate, Jake Boyce. I think the shield thing should be up right now.
Yeah.
Nationalist candidate, Jake Boyce. And the Federalist candidate, Alex Geekus. For Secretary of State, Nationalist candidate, Jacob Milgram. Candidate Ashwan Samuel. And now for State Treasurer, Nationalist candidate Tommy Schmidt.
Tommy football.
And Federalist candidate Luke Worry. Nationalist candidate Daniel Santos. And Federalist candidate Abhi Sharma. Now for Lieutenant Governor, Nationalist candidate Trevor Langer. Candidate George Deckenbush. And last but not least, Governor, Nationalist candidate Clayton Covington. And Federalist candidate Brennan Spoor. We'd like to explain the format of the debate. Over the past 48 hours, the debate committee has been working to form questions that will help you, as staters, make an informed decision on your vote. Each question will be directed toward one party's candidate, who will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer the question. The opposing candidate will then have 1 minute response. Finally, the candidate receiving the initial question will be allowed a 30-second rebuttal. At this time, another question will be asked to the opposing candidate running for the same office. The candidates will be questioned in the following order: Commissioner of Insurance, Secretary of State, State Treasurer, Attorney General, Lieutenant Governor, and Governor. Please join me in wishing the best of luck to the candidates of the 77th Annual American Legion Boys State of Kansas General Elections Debate. first question is for the Federalist candidate for Commissioner of Insurance. Universal health care is one of the hottest topics at Boise State. What is your stance on universal health care and why?
My stance and the stance of the Federalist Party is that the government should provide insurance only for those who cannot provide it for themselves. It is the responsibility and the duty of American citizens who are making a living to provide for themselves and to take care of themselves. Now that being said, there are some people who are unable to do so. And my plan for that, my strategy would be those people would have to go through an application process to make sure that they can afford health care. And it would be paid for by the government. However, it would be limited, and those people would have to do the following things. First, they'd have to fill out an extensive application to prove that they are in need. Second, they would have to do some sort of community service to help the community that is helping them get back on their feet. And third, they would have to submit a job application that proves that they're working to do something to remedy their situation. All those things being said, we believe that the private sector is the most efficient at putting forth the right health care, and that is who should be in charge of the main coverage. And with that is the strategy that we can move forward most efficiently with limited government involvement, which will allow us to reduce taxes and reduce the government being involved in the lives of the people. Thank you.
We, as the Nationalist Party, believe in equality for all and equal opportunity for all. Now, we all know that right now we have a federal universal health care program, colloquially known as Obamacare. Now, while Obamacare is a federally run program, and as a state, we cannot necessarily do anything to alter that, what we as the Nationalist Party believe is that we will, within our power, regulate state health insurance companies so that they give you the fairest price possible. We already have government-run health care, and with reform, government-run health care can work, and as insurance commissioner, I can lower costs for you all, putting more money back in your pocket with universal health care and money and education. Thank you.
Now, my opponent brings up a few really important points that I'd like to address. First, the Affordable Care Act is an important piece of legislation that can't be forgotten. However, there are pieces of it that should not be enacted by the Kansas legislation. For example, 133% of people above on the poverty line get insurance. That means 33% who don't need it are getting it. This is something that cannot be adopted by the state. It is going to be better if it's run and more efficient if it's run through the private companies, and that's going to put more money in your pockets through reducing taxes and reducing the government involvement. Thank you.
Kansas is known for severe weather, including tornadoes. Insurance claims are made following a disaster. How would you deal with the possibility of fraudulent claims?
Fraudulent claims, in my opinion, it's downright dirty. It's people claiming money for themselves. It's what it boils down to is greed. People who don't need the money asking for it out of their own personal desire, and it's wrong. And as insurance commissioner, it's my job to keep the costs low for everybody by evaluating what claims are right and wrong, and therefore to avoid fraudulent claims, we would set up a process with inspectors and investigators to go out to these areas hit by natural disasters to see what extensive damage was done and who needs to be supplied with money to get themselves back on their feet. So to oppose fraudulent claims, I like to think on the bright side. I like to think everybody would be honest, but I know that's not true. And to keep costs down for the rest of you, we will establish a system so that so the money goes back into your pockets and it doesn't go into the pockets of somebody who does not need it. I promise you, as your Commissioner of Insurance, I will lobby for such a system to prevent fraudulent claims and to put more money back in the pocket of you, the citizens. Thank you.
Natural disasters are going to be a huge problem anywhere you go. You will always encounter them. Now, what's critical is having the right response and being able to respond quickly and effectively. Now, what that's going to entail is setting aside enough money for the budget, which could easily come from cuts in healthcare, cuts in welfare that the Federalist Party is looking to make, and have some more money to go toward relief for these natural disasters that will occur and do need to be responded to quickly and effectively. And having an extensive process to make sure that the damage has occurred after a natural disaster could be damning. We need to make sure we are reacting quickly and efficiently, and I think we can all tell when a natural disaster is going to be devastating for a community, whether it be agriculture, oil and gas, or any kind of an industrial community. We know when it's going to be devastating and we need to respond quickly. That being said, fraudulence could be a problem that we need to address. However, the Federalists are looking for an extensive process with an application that's going to address this, so we would be able to address that as well. But we need to respond to the needs of the citizens. Thank you.
Having budgets set aside to deal with this problem through cuts in other systems sounds to me like throwing money at the problem. We as the Nationalist Party believe in fiscal responsibility, and that's the reason for our extensive system. We want to give you the money you deserve, and we don't want to give money to people who don't deserve it. So we as the Nationalist Party believe in fiscal responsibility, and taking our time would be the best option in this situation. Thank you.
This next question goes to the Nationalist candidate for Secretary of State. Many citizens over the age of 65 are having financial difficulties due to more people taking out from Social Security than putting in. How do you plan to address this problem in the Social Security system?
I believe that we will have to put a system in place where those who are going to be taking out for Social Security are paying in an adequate amount through their entire lives, and to make sure that it is stable and that we're protecting this money for their use after. That's all.
So essentially, people are taking out too much than they're putting in. So I think one of the problems is instability for these senior citizens, can we call them, over 65. So we need to offer them financial stability, such as maybe jobs. Some of these people over 65 are veterans, and veterans coming out do not have the qualified education that they need because they went off to Army, military, or Navy. And so when they miss those schooling years, they miss potential skills that they could have earned. And so this is restricting them from getting job access through this. Thank you.
I believe that these citizens who are under 65, I would say they are not the issue at hand. It's the people over 65 who need this money, and that through fiscal responsibility, equal taxing, and fair and equal taxing, for other citizens, we will have enough money to provide for them.
According to Census.gov, approximately 13.2% of Kansas residents live below the poverty line. A proposed solution is to change the minimum wage. How will you approach this topic?
Right, so I heard about this legislation that was passed today, and they're thinking of raising the minimum wage to around $9. Now, raising minimum wage would also mean cutting potential welfare services such that people need, the unemployed people are getting. And by doing this, people who will receive welfare will need to go through an extensive application process, background checks, etc. And these people receiving welfare will also need to participate in community service and also fill out a job application in order to make sure that they are on track to getting a job further down the line. Now, this will allow us to raise the minimum wage because raising the minimum wage will help these people who eventually get jobs, help them ensure financial stability in the future.
As many people know, it can be extremely difficult to live and work with a job that pays minimum wage. And as a nationalist party, and it's something I believe in, I know that I will find a way to make sure that we can find an equal balance between raising the minimum wage without sending costs through the roof here for everything else that would affect. And I know that as a party and as Secretary of State, we can find an equal balance.
So, ensuring a minimum wage is essential for ensuring financial stability in the future. So, without this welfare program in place that has extensive background checks and making sure they have volunteer hours and making sure they have a job application, without this being set in place, we cannot raise the minimum wage. Thank you.
All right, the next question that we have is for the Federalist State Treasurer. Education seems to be the topic on everyone's mind this year at Boise State. When the budget is passed, what is your plan on funding education?
I believe in education, and us in the Federalist Party, we believe that we should champion the teachers, okay? Teachers are underappreciated in the school systems, and they should be better treated and better paid as well. To do this, we are not planning on increasing funding for education. We are keeping it at a sustainable rate. That is up for negotiation, of course, but we do not want to lower it at all. We feel that better spending, more wiser spending on education can be implemented. To do this, we are going to implement higher qualifications for teachers. We want to create a higher class of teachers, not just someone who finished college and wants to teach elementary kids, but we want someone who is highly qualified and is treated on equal levels as doctors, lawyers, or anything, because teachers are very important. Students, we are also trying to eliminate the Common Core. Just last year, in 2012 and 2013, standardized testing for math and reading are plummeting very quickly. We feel like that is a very problem, and the main problem there is the Common Core. To solve this, we are going to allow students who aren't as accelerated, we want to help them get back there, but at the same time, we want to help those advanced students get back onto their prosperous road and help them reach their full potential. Thank you.
All right, now being in the Nationalist Party, we believe in the 3 E's: education, economy, and energy. Now, education, as I said, was our number 1. So, education is a serious problem in Kansas. Kansas is currently in the bottom 10% of all standardized testing in the U.S. In order to fund education, yeah, that's a lot of money. But we believe that funding our teachers to get better education and get higher qualifications, they can better educate their students. Now, doing this, yes, costs a lot of money, but as treasurer, I have a plan for it. We're going to work on agriculture. We're going to really invest in the agricultural economy and the energy economy in order to accumulate more money and accumulate more promise in our revenue, which then we can use towards education because we will take education very seriously. Thank you.
To further elaborate on the plan for the budgeting in education, we feel that a lot of schools are a little overstaffed and understaffed in the Department of Teachers and other educators. For example, many schools have, the assistant principal, the assistant regional math director, all those silly titles that really should not be a thing. Our focus here in the Federalist Party is to teach. That's what schools are for. We're not here for fancy titles. We're here to learn and reach your full potential. Thank you.
All right. The next question would be that as time has passed, the drive to find an alternative energy source has increased. With the decline of fossil fuels imminent, what are your plans for the uses of fossil fuels in the future?
Okay, so as treasurer, we are evaluating three main energy sources. We have the oil department, and we have alternative sources such as wind energy and water energy, and then there's the big topic of nuclear energy. Now, last year, we all know that nuclear energy didn't work out the best, but if we did implement nuclear energy, we would put strict regulations on the nuclear power plant so that bad things don't happen. That's the easiest way I can put it. But one of my largest things is create a strong alternative energy source while still using oil. Now, we can use the River of Democracy for strong transportation. We can use oil to fuel ships to move new goods that we can produce in Kansas. And we can start building up the wind energy resource. So wind energy, a wind turbine, can power approximately 500 houses, which is crazy. And if you have 20 of those, that's 10,000 houses. It's crazy how much power we can use by just utilizing the natural elements. With the River of Democracy, we can also use water gates and water generators in order to use the current from the river to produce energy, which therefore decreases the amount of money we have to put into other sources to get energy. Thank you.
Okay, the stance on the issue of alternative energy for the Federalist Party, we mainly focus on the importance of oil and gas as an industry and an economic component of Kansas. Okay, just in Kansas alone, we are the top 10 ranked producers of natural gas and oil. Okay, it produced over $2 billion in revenue for individual families that work for oil and gas, and it produced over $930 million revenue just in taxation to the government. Okay, that being said, we do believe that oil is not sustainable, but we believe that in the long term, or in the short 100 years term, it will be a large component of the Kansas economy. But we see that alternative energies in the future must be used. So we're going to allow research grants and other similar loans to individual and private sectors to develop the alternative energy source. Thank you.
Now, as state treasurer, I was just asked the question about energy. So if we can invest in energy, that will be super beneficial to the platform that my Nationalist Party is operating on. We can invest in a way to clean the oil, because as we all know, oil and gas and petroleum, it puts a whole bunch of carbon dioxide into the environment, and if there's a way to clean that, to filter that even better, it would become a great energy source. Thank you.
How do you plan to break this cycle?
Well, the main reason that people commit crimes is because they don't really have another way to reach out. And our main platform for the Nationalist Party was education. And that's where we're looking to reach the youth and start at the beginning. So that way we can raise men and women that are looking to have a better life. And that we give them the opportunity to have one. When we look at teachers and we increase more funding to the educational system, they will have better outlooks on what they can do and have better prospects. So they don't have to turn to bank robbery or to theft. So that they can become doctors, they can become lawyers, and they can better our society as a whole. As a Nationalist Party, we are looking to fund the youth from the beginning, to start there, not at the top where the problem is. We want to deal with the problem at the root. That is our stance. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'd like to actually take a second to thank everyone that's up on the stage and everyone that's sitting down there running this debate. They worked their butts off for this. They're making this run smoothly. Can you give them a hand? Now to get to the question. Crime rate is a really fascinating topic. It's been studied for years, and I think there's a couple of options that we have to try and fix the issues at hand. You know, the Nationalist Party is really for education, and you know what? The Federalist Party is for education too. But I think we're for education in a different way. I think that we're trying to get teachers to be more involved in how they're teaching their kids. We're trying to change the structure of school. We don't want them reading off a script when they're trying to teach kids calculus or algebra or whatever. We're trying to get them engaged. We're trying to get students engaged. Because once students are engaged in learning, and once students are engaged in school, they start coming to events like this. They start coming to Boys State, and they get better. Thank you.
Now, the opposing party agrees with us that education is the solution, and that we need to start there. Now, we have already taken proactive measures to ensure that we already have policies in place to do this now. See, we are dealing with the teachers, because teacher is the teacher of our nation. They're the first line of defense to stopping the crime rate. Now, we have decided that as a party, we agree that teachers need to be funded and more certified. We can't just let anybody come in and teach a classroom. That is our stance. Thank you.
In the past 5 years, illegal immigration has grown to be a prominent issue in the state of Kansas. How do you plan on dealing with illegal immigrants in Kansas who wish to be naturalized?
I think the Federalist Party is definitely looking to solve the issue of illegal immigration. And I think that naturalization is a really good way to go about it. Because who doesn't want to be a citizen of this great country? Am I right? I think I am. America's awesome. We will try and expedite the process because the Federalist Party is all about efficiency. If there's an efficient way to solve a problem, we're going to pick it. And I feel like the most efficient way to deal with illegal immigration is to make those people taxpayers, and it's to make those people hardworking citizens of America, and it's to make those people contributing citizens to each and every community that they live in, and keep them away from the negative aspects of the kind of connotation that's associated with illegal immigrant. We want to make them one of us. We want to make them a citizen. And once we get that, once we get to that level, then they are another set of people that can really help this country become a little bit better. And, you know, if you saw the ad, we're all about diversity. We don't hold the color of your skin against you. We don't hold where you come from against you. All we care about is that you want to make America better and you want to make Kansas better. If you're for that and you happen to be a minority or you happen to be an immigrant, we can expedite that process for you. We can get you on our side. We can get you working to make America a better place. Thank you very much.
Currently, in the U.S., it takes an immigrant about 5 years to become a citizen. And that's way too long. As being a part of the judicial branch, I have a unique opportunity to speed up that process and to make it more narrow. You see, we are a great nation, but we didn't get this way by letting people and criminals come into our country. We want people that have expertise. We want people that know what they're doing. And so that is what our party agrees on. We want to expedite this, but we can't just speed it up so fast that we just let everyone in. No, we want specific individuals that know what they're doing and that will contribute to our society. We want the types of individuals that will become leaders, that will direct our nation in the right path, so that we can have a better future. Thank you.
You know, it really disheartens me to hear that the Nationalist Party thinks that a lot of illegal immigrants are criminals. Now, I have a few friends out in the Highway Patrol. Can I hear it? The Highway Patrol? Anyone? Anyone? No? Yeah. We can't just assume that these illegal immigrants are going to be bad seeds. You know, they can be really helpful members of our society, and I think that labeling them as criminals or even labeling them as illegal immigrants is not the right step. We need to be accepted, and we need to speed up the process to welcome them to our country. Thank you.
Now, my point wasn't that all illegal. Oh, okay.
Señor Santos. Best speech.
This question is aimed at the Lieutenant Governor for the Federalist Party. One of the most divided issues in Kansas is gay marriage. What is your stance on it and why?
Myself and the Federalist Party have taken the stance of separating state and religion. Now, marriage is a religious term. It originated that way, and I think we should go towards the word of unions. All right, even a man and a woman should be called a union in the eyes of the state. There are two people that wish to be together and also wish to have tax breaks. All right, when you're married in the state of Kansas, you get a tax break. So you should not only get a tax break for being a man and a woman, but also as a man and a man or a woman and a woman. You have the right to adopt children, bring them up, and receive a tax break like that. So I think gay marriage is a good thing, but we should look at it as a union of two people in the eyes of the state. Thank you.
Okay, so what this is going to come down to is that when we're really talking about gay marriage, we're not talking about just relationships between two people. What we're talking about is cooperation. Now, cooperation is something that Clayton and I have deemed as a political party platform since day one. Without cooperation, where would we be? I mean, if I asked you guys to raise your hands as to, have any of you been in an argument since you've been here at Boise State? I imagine a few of you would raise them. And without cooperation, things can kind of seem like, well, like you're speaking to 500 people without a mic. Without cooperation, we really have no grounds to get anything done. So when we're talking about gay marriage, we can see that we need to cooperate so everyone can have equal rights. Only then can we advance ourselves further to make a better world for everyone. Thank you.
All right, I'm not going to say cooperation is a bad thing because it isn't. We all know that. But as a state, we Thank
You get a question.
I do get a question. Thanks, guys.
Legalization of marijuana has consumed the attention of everyone in the state. How is your plan better than
already cooperated. We've had people of both parties in the Senate and in the House working together towards the legalization of marijuana. Now, what I'd like to talk to you about with the remaining minute of my time is where do we go from here? We have people working on plans for the industrialized use of hemp, and what we're calling we're in the process of making weed parks or Kush castles. That's my man, Sam Mallory from the Department of Tourism working on that, so you guys can talk to him about it. What we can see is that this is not only going to create economic stability, it's not only going to be something we can chuckle about when we're like 38 looking back at our Boys State memories. It's something that is a feasible economic solution. These programs are going to create jobs for everyone. They're going to create economic revenue for everyone. And it's going to be something that we can look back on and say, we did the right thing. So when we're asking, is my plan better than the others, I don't really compare myself to the Federalist Party on this, because I think that we should work together. We should work together to create the most economic stimulus and the most benefits for everyone so we can make this week the best week of our lives. Thank you.
All right, Nationalist Party, don't get all high and mighty on me. No, but the legalization of marijuana is a good thing for the economy, because not only can we build Kush castles and pot farms, I mean that's all fun and stuff at Boys State, but we can make benefit from this in the economy. We can make $1, a penny here and there with taxes on it. Taxes are good, but I don't want to say weed is good because that makes me look bad. But, taxes are good because it helps us, and it helps you. And a vote for us is a vote for you. Thank you.
I'd really just like to say that it warms my heart to see that both sides of this debate are really cooperating even right now. We're both saying we are into the same things. Yeah, exactly. But what we can see is that these are words, and what we need is actions. So what we've worked on since day one is cooperation, and if any of you were at the Nationalist Convention last night, you know my policy, which I'm going to extend to everyone right now. 410 is my room number. You guys can come talk to me about any of this stuff. Regardless of whether we get elected or not, I'm here to work with and for you. Thank you.
Each governor candidate will receive 2 questions apiece, continuing in the current format. And we're going to go ahead and start with the Nationalist Party.
Kansas heavily utilizes the infrastructure programs to maintain roads, parks, and other public spaces. What changes will you make to it in order to improve the quality of life as well as create jobs?
All right, so for those of you who aren't so familiar with the platform of the Nationalist Party, we like to stress what we call the 3 E's, and they were mentioned earlier, but those are education, the economy, and energy. And everything that we want to implement for all of you all is really linked to the economy, including the infrastructure sector. One of the major ways we've actually talked to members of the infrastructure packs is how we want to expand their area is with our beautiful river of democracy. And what we really see that river as being is basically a center of gold. In terms of infrastructure regarding roads, ways, and those kind of things, there will obviously be mandates as to expand those, but where we're primarily focusing our attention currently is on that river. And on that river, we plan on helping the agricultural sector economically to counteract the droughts. We're also just planning to use ships to go down the river and be able to transport goods from the east to the west and back and forth. So essentially, when expanding the infrastructure sector, we plan on using our God-ordained river in order to help ourselves with our economy. And we want to expand our economy in all sectors. We see that with this infrastructure increase, we see an overflow in every other sector. And like we always say during our convention, we Kansans, we like our money.
make people feel bad. Now Clayton came up here and he tried to do that. He tried to show you some things that weren't as focused on the topic, which were about the river of democracy. And he didn't really focus or match up on what was about the highways and roads. But what I am here with the Federalist Party doing is we want to focus on these roads. We want to build in things that are going to be safer, like roundabouts have a 99% efficiency rate in stopping fatality collisions. If we made complete streets and actually made wider streets to where more people could bike and walk, it actually has shown to increase the health of individuals by at least 50%. Those are two individual things that we can do. Those are specific items. I'm not focusing on the river, I'm focusing on the question. I challenge Clayton to come up here and actually give you set things that he is going to do in this in order to show how he's going to prevent Kansas.
Alright, I'm always up for a challenge. First thing I want to talk about, okay, in regards to specific road traffics and regarding the road infrastructure, I wasn't trying to be vague, and trust me, I have a clear understanding as to what the question is, but I've already talked to these people. I'm talking about the new innovations. But one clarification regarding roundabouts, I can guarantee you, we Americans, we do not know how to use them. There's a roundabout going to my school. We are keen on improving our economy, and we improve our economy. That is what's going to spill over. That's what's going to benefit each and every one of you. Thank you.
Wait, sit down, please. No. As previously stated, Kansas is in the bottom 10% of education within the United States. What steps can you take as a party in order to improve the quality of education in Kansas?
Kanye West once said, shoot for the cloud, shoot for the stars, because at least if you miss, you'll land on a cloud. And I believe as the Federalist Party that we are currently shooting for the stars and trying to advance education as much as we possibly can. What we are going to do as the Federalist Party is we are going to up and champion the teachers, as we have said before. We are going to not raise the budget of the education, but rather focus more of the education budget onto the teachers in order to get them to more classes. My mom's a teacher, and recently she had to take the praxis exam, which teaches all of the teachers have to learn how to teach ESL, English as a second language. And so we are going to do things like that. Like her entire school paid for those classes. And so the Kansas state government, we're going to move more of the education, more of the budget for education down to teaching the teachers more different methods on how to teach and how to teach effectively. Those specific policies are actually going to show to teach the students better, and it's going to advance the society as a whole. When we have these better students, and we have better than the bottom 10% of the education, then we are actually going to increase the economy and increase society as a whole. And also we are going for opportunity. The ode that we mentioned, opportunity, when you come from a county such as Powell, like I did that before, you are going to go to these trade schools possibly and go into the workforce as fast as possible. If you come from a rich county like Eisenhower, you're going to go through more schooling that you have because you have that natural opportunity and you don't need to get to the workforce as fast. We're going to make sure that everyone has a career as fast as possible and that everyone can advance Kansas the best that they can and make sure that Boise State and Kansas are the best states there are.
Now, the stances of the two parties aren't greatly different, but one thing I would like to point out to you is that the Federalists, up until this point on both questions of education, have not been able to answer to you as to why do we implement this system. However, during our campaign, we have stressed, we have given empirical examples with the nation of Finland and other states such as Maryland. The reason why we want to improve our teachers is because it has been statistically proven. When you make the prestige of a teacher more rigorous, that causes them to have a better effect on the well-being of our students. Those students being each and every one of you delegates sitting in this room. And what I'm trying to tell you is the reason why you would side with our side is because we know why it works. We see it happening in other countries. We see it happening in our own countries. But a major thing I will disagree with is that they say that we cannot increase funding. Currently, any of you all from Topeka here, raise a hand please. Anybody? Okay, you all know that there are schools closing in the inner city. The only way to revitalize the system, the only way to help our fellow students is to increase the funding. These basically ignoring the whole student aspect of it. You can't just look at the teacher. You gotta look at you all, the students. Yeah!
I guess no one taught the nationalists to hear because I just gave in my speech specific examples as to why we should advance this. When we have better teachers such as teaching ESL or going to more classes, more qualified, you have better students and a better society. We have mentioned that multiple times. We want the students to be better, that's why we're advancing it. The empirical example of my mom and Maryland, I never heard Maryland. What we are going to do is we are trying to advance this, that's the reason why. We want to advance that and we want to make sure that all the teachers are teaching the students the best to advance the society and give the most opportunity we can. Thank you.
And the next two questions we have here focus solely on budget. And, you know, that's the biggest part of what the government does.
This question is for the nationalist, Governor. Currently, there is a massive deficit in the Boise State budget. What will you do to eliminate the deficit of our budget?
All right, so I'm going to reiterate the points of the 3 E's, and one of those is the economy. One of the easiest ways to eliminate the deficit is by the stimulation of the economy. And the major premise of the platform of the nationalists is we want to increase our jobs in whatever sectors there are possible. That's why we've talked to the agricultural people, we've talked to the industrialists, we've talked to basically every single person we can find out there. And you all know, because you've basically seen our faces all over the place, basically spamming you, oh, we want your votes, guys. And I'm saying this for a reason. When it comes to tackling this deficit, the key isn't necessarily always having state mandates and spending more and more money and throwing money at the problem. It's about providing those essential jobs. When we help you all who, like I know a few people told me today, they're unemployed as of today. We want that issue to be no longer relevant, no longer existent. And the only way to do this is through the creation of more jobs and more effective spending, more wise spending. And that is what the plan of the nationalists is. And thank you all for that.
As governor candidate, I have also tried to go and talk to people too, and today I actually sat in on some of the Senate and actually talked to them specifically. And I believe that right now what they are doing, the bipartisan agreements that they've had within the Senate, are currently working to lower this deficit. With that sticky icky act that they just passed, and also with the diversity with the equality among the workers, and with the Industrial Workers Pact, all those things are currently adding more jobs, they're currently adding better jobs, and they're trying to make sure that the society and the workers and the economy are all doing better. This is comparatively advantageous to anything that the nationalists have come up here and said. It's actually helping all of them, all the Senate. I listened to you guys. I'm actually wanting you guys to continue what you're doing so that I can advance this, so that we can continue and make sure that the economy is good in Boise State. Those methods that we are having right now, all of the bills that we have passed, are advancing the economy, and they're actually helping very much, and I believe that is going to help.
Woo!
Now I believe it's very interesting that my opponent here has just conceived that one of the most effective means to stimulating our economy is adding more jobs. When any of my congressional members in here can also tell you that as of today, he has proposed to basically prohibit people from working at what is known as the Quickie Mart. This is called the elimination of jobs. You're not going to tackle a deficit by unemploying more people. The only way to do this is helping people get their jobs. The proposals made of this man as of today has been to do the exact opposite. So I ask you all logically, what makes sense? Taking away the jobs or giving us more jobs? Thank you.
The creation of the budget is the most important job for the governor. What are your priorities and why?
Well, my number one priority for the budget is the people. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to advance the economy and trying to advance the individual people and help them as much as we can. As we have all mentioned, education is a major part of the budget that we're trying to advance, along with the energy sectors. There are 3 E's that they advance, although I don't want to keep going I actually do believe in a couple things that they do. The energy sector, along with the oil and gas, what we are trying to do is we are trying to help the budget and center it toward that. And so education and energy are 2 things that we are going for. And we're also trying to individually help all the people in order to advance it. Many of the budget, every single person here, it seems, has the same like 4 key things that they want for the budget. It's just the different things. I think all of us can agree bipartisanly that we want the same things in the budget, and we don't want to add or subtract anything else. There's not really a difference as to what we should do in the budget.
Now, when proposing a budget, I would say the most important factor we have is, as my colleague reiterated, and that is cooperation. As we came and visited around numerous departments and numerous PACs, one of the key questions they always ask us, so how much money are you going to give us? What percentage are you going to give us? And honestly, to be quite honest, we don't know for sure. I mean, we can't pretend we're perfect. We can't pretend we know everything at this point. But what we have asked of every single group that we talk to is that you all keep an open mind. So when we are putting things at the forefront of our platform, such as education, energy, agriculture, industry, all of these will have appropriated funds as necessary, but only when we all work together. That is the only way we've seen progress in the past with just this campaign, and that's the only way you will see progress with the future of Kansas. And so that is the means by which we want to tackle the issues with the budget, and that is by cooperation with each and every one of the departments, each and every one of the interest groups. That's how Kansas rolls.
So the Nationalist Party came up here talking about the budget and mentioned that they want cooperation throughout the whole thing. And they mentioned all of the different parties that they want to help and all of these different sectors that they want to help. But I feel they got a little turned around. Because they didn't give you any set measures as to what they wanted. They just said we want cooperation throughout. But the Federalist Party this entire time we've come up here and said we are going to do this, 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 and this. And throughout when we were campaigning to you, we gave you promises. And I can assure you that every single one of my party members, we are going to keep those promises and we're going to ensure that the Federalist way is kept and that Boise State's good.
Shots fired.
Alright, so that's all we have.
Let's give another round of applause to Kansas State.